Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Warriors of Chaos and Bretonnia. It's going to be Hadri's with Festus facing off against the true Bretonnian, who's going to be coming in with King Lewin. Certainly very fun. I guess I'm so used to seeing the Enchantress from the years past, but Lewin is always welcome. Very cool to see him in combat. Now, as far as the build for Hadri's goes, it's going to be some Chosen of Nurgle. So the Warriors of Chaos, if you guys aren't familiar, do have 4 marks of Chaos they can spend to bring units from essentially different god-specific rosters. So in this case, we have the Chosen of Nurgle with Great Weapons using 1 mark. Severed Claw is going to be using a Tzeentch mark. We have Festus and then a Slaanesh caster. The Mutalith Beast is actually a core unit to the Warriors of Chaos, even though it is on the Tzeentch roster, so it doesn't require a mark to bring, which is pretty rad. But obviously, these guys can do some serious work, right? Severed Claw hit like trucks. They have super good defensive stats. You can get them in the front line to fight Bretonnian infantry. They can cut through cavalry units. And they become even better when they have access to healing, right? So if you go with Festus to heal those bad boys up using the elixir, it can really get the job done. Now, the Mutalith Beast brings a lot to the table against Bretonnia. It has a Mortis Engine to clear out mass hordes of peasants and infantry. It has anti-large attacks to deal with monsters and heroes. And it does have 70 armor too, so peasant archers won't kill it super quickly. I mean, still, it's a bit of a threat, right? If there's 3 or 4 Bretonnian archers putting fire into this thing, it can go down. But again, it does have access to Festus healing, so he's not going in there alone. Chosen of Nurgle are just badass, and these guys have good enough stats that even though they're not a quote-unquote anti-large unit, if they end up fighting some Bretonnian knights, they're going to poison them. They have hard armor piercing, really good durability, and they'll get the job done. Now, the Slaanesh caster is kind of a cool tech. This bad boy does give you a rampage ability, so you can rampage a very swift Bretonnian knight, a Grail knight, a Hippogriff knight, and force them into bad fights. And also Lash of Slaanesh is okay against foot squares, but really the reason why you have Lash is to spam and get the lore passive to give your entire army 12 melee attack. And the same thing kind of goes for Festus here. Festus is just going to be trying to get the Children of Nurgle procced by casting the Stream of Corruption. So 2 very cheap spells between these 2 characters, which is kind of an interesting style for sure. You don't see it too often. So Chaos Feral Manticore and some halberds in the back going to be sitting on the backside objective. This is one of our new maps, the Shambling Bog, and those halberds are just going to hunker down on Objective 3, and the real epicenter of combat is going to be Objective 2 for sure. Now for the true Bretonnian on the other side, the mighty Lord of Bretonnia, he's got his peasant mobs, he's got his foot squires at the back, and a Damsel of Heaven. So it looks like there's going to be a Thunderbolt and a Wind Blast. Thunderbolt does have 100% armor piercing, so if you drop this on halberds, it actually can do some pretty considerable damage. And immediately, true Bretonnian, very, very good threat recognition. He calls in the Peasant Bowman, and it's going to be fire arrows and poison arrows, I think. Oh no, 2 fire arrows, actually. I'm trying to think of what that would be pertinent against. I guess trolls, yeah. The fire damage would help against armored chaos trolls, which historically have been very, very meta against the forces of Bretonnia. More halberds being called in, no surprises. Festus moving up with his healing elixirs, and it looks like Hadri's going to be hunkering down on the middle objective, while the true Bretonnian takes to the skies with King Lewin looking for a fight. I like how the Manticore landed on the ground. Obviously, Lewin would absolutely kick that thing's butt, so you're going to try and avoid that to the best of your abilities. But Bretonnia is going to be forming ranks with their huge peasant lines, and this is very meta for Bretonnia to just come in with a huge infantry corps to initially play the objectives, and then pretty much every call-in in the mid-game is going to be knights, because they can reinforce quicker than the infantry can. So that goes for a lot of factions too. Like if you're playing Vampire Coast, something I've learned that's been helping me with my game with them is having a huge 20 stack of zombies right away to get that good capture weight and good presence on the field, and then you start calling in crabs and Morngulls and animated hulks and things like that. But again, for Coast, it's even more pertinent because of how slow their units are, right? So you need to get them moving up to the objectives early on. Now, a couple of Marauder Horsemen moving up for Hadri's. Looks like he wanted to dive in the backfield, but there are some mounted yeomen here, and those guys should be able to force back the Horsemen, and the Horsemen will retreat while King Lewin goes for a little freebie here. So he gets in and attacks Festus. Festus does take the hit, but Festus is going to be able to heal, and the Mutalith Beast comes and punishes Lewin for that aggression. And overall, it probably ends up a little bit better for Hadri's, considering Lewin did take 2 full hits, and no real substantial damage has been done here. But now the true Bretonnian is going to be getting his archers online, so the Peasant Bowman with the fire arrows unleashing into the Mutalith Beast, and getting some really, really good value so far. Beautiful opening here for Bretonnia. As they get that sweet poke, Festus going to pull back with his Mutalith Beast on the back objective. Halberd's just kind of holding that down. I think it would be smart for the true Bretonnian to push it though, considering it's a single halberd, which will trade pretty horribly into a foot squire. That would probably be very, very cost effective here. So Hadri's pushing. He's actually getting a little bit aggressive, moving up his halberds, and we do see the Severed Claw in melee here. So foot squires are okay against Severed Claw. They have the anti-infantry and the armor piercing to get the job done. But at the end of the day, Lewin's supporting him. Overall, the Severed Claw is going to be taking a bit of a beating. But this is going to change the entire dynamic of this fight, ladies and gentlemen, as the Chad Chosen of Nurgle move into combat. And they're going to start bringing those fat great weapons to bear. They're going to be giving the dirty to a lot of these foot squires. Now, the Mutalith Beast chilling in the back. We do see it hanging out with your boy Festus, the Leech Lord. A couple peasant mobs and spears moving around the side. Stream of Corruption going down there. Going to be a nice cast against the Bretonnian hordes. And oh my goodness, what's going on with King Lewin? He's getting smashed. Okay, it's the Severed Claw. Severed Claw and the Chosen of Nurgle with all that great weapon armor piercing and the throwing axes. And the back here from Hadri's Horsemen, able to just absolutely smash King Lewin there. Last of Slaanesh, triggering a melee attack buff for the entire army. It's a pretty cool idea, using both these lore passives and using the most optimal aspects of both of them. Nonetheless, Peasant Archers shooting into the Horsemen, wearing them down, looking at the value trading. Hadri's is up a little bit, but most of his value, remember, is tied up in King Lewin here. So if Lewin's able to heal, the rest of the Bretonnian standing army is still going to be pretty formidable. And it looks like Bretonnia is going to be pushing this objective. We get foot squires and peasant mobs into the halberds, some foot squires moving around the back, and it looks like he's going to get a full surround. And there is a slight danger of this objective being flipped for Bretonnia, leaving Hadri's with simply the one objective in the middle. Granted, it's very early in the game, not like anybody's really pressed for points, so a lot more to happen here today. Peasant Archer shooting across, and the Needle of the Beast getting worn down once again, but it does have the Festus healing. Granted, Festus only has its healing elixirs. He doesn't have access to Fleshy Abundance. Well, he does have access to it, but he didn't bring it. So there's not going to be any big heals in that regard. Even still, though, the Mortis Engine from the Beast is going to be pretty useful for clearing out these peasants. Manticore here, we do have 2 sources of terror, so I would imagine the Bretonnians going to scatter and run once they take a little bit of damage. But the true Bretonnian doing a good job keeping that archer pressure on the Mutilith Beast, which is keeping it from fighting in the front lines. Festus here, providing the healing elixirs to the Chosen of Nurgle, as well as Severed Claw is really nasty. These are both super durable units. Oh my god, look at the damage on that. That was crazy. That did so much work. That was the Uranus Thunderbolt. Must have been overcasted. That was like a 30% shot instantly. Okay. I'm taking notes, man. I'm taking some notes. Now, on the back objective, True Bretonnian looks like he got the job done. He is going to be flipping the point, but this is a good play from Hadri's. Still maintaining some value for your Mutilith Beast while keeping it out of range of the arrows. And wow, he just barely stabilizes that point there. Very, very close. As the Chaos Warrior Halberds finally get reinforced, Hound Spear charging in, breaking these Foot Squires, which removes their capture weight here. And now some Marauder Horsemen are going to be coming in to stabilize that point as well. Hadri is also anchoring down to the center, and even though the True Bretonnian has a slight value lead, the healing is heavily on the side of the Warriors of Chaos, as Festus has been healing this blob of elite troopers, the Chosen of Nurgle, the Severed Claw, and of course these trolls are going to be regenerating as well. We do see some Forsaken in the mix. Forsaken do a nice job against Bretonnian troopers. Knights of the Realm are the Collins for the True Bretonnian, and on the top side it looks like some Knights of the Realm looking to, I wonder if they're going to try and take on this Mutilith Beast in open field. It probably wouldn't be the best idea with some horsemen nearby, but yeah, I mean, if you could really isolate it away from support, it might not be the worst. A couple Foot Squires still bumping and grinding here, but the Chaos Halberds teamed up with the Doggos, able to drag them down. Knights of the Realm going to be retreating back right now, as the Peasant Archers continue just wailing into these lines, and honestly not doing bad. Here we see the Armored Chaos Trolls getting wrecked, and for the lady, big charge coming in. Knights of the Realm, Lance is couched the Lance, and they do run down those trolls. So those trolls get to get routed and broken. So that was a really, really nice focus fire. Meanwhile, Lewin trying to peel off the Severed Claw. Severed Claw taking a lot of firepower, and Sword of Crone pretty good against them. Putting their armor down to 90, of course, helps. Peasant Archers need to fan out, though. They're a little bit bunched up right now. They need to scoot back. Lash of Slaanesh triggering the Slaanesh lore passive. The middle objective being held onto, and now that the archers are partially compromised and not really in a good shooting position, this gives Hadri's the opportunity to get his Mutilith Beast and move into the Bretonnian lines, get Mortis Engine effects, and really, really cause quite a bit of havoc. Chaos Manticore still causing some fun times, and the Halberds defending the back objective. Meanwhile, Hadri's going for a bit of a ninja here, but True Bretonnian does have some peasants. Although the peasants only have expendable capture weight, and these Marauder Horsemen have 4, so they have double the capture weight of these peasants. Looks like a little bit of cycle charging here as the Hounds are coming in, and yeah, these guys are going to get wrecked, and this is actually threatening this point. Bretonnia is going to have to call something in, because these Hounds are going to break these Peasant Spearmen. I mean, these are just cheap chaff units, right? Their leadership currently sitting at 12, starting to fold up due to the DPS of the Hounds. Meanwhile, on the middle objective, the Mutilith Beast going pretty hard in the paint. Currently only 1100 value, but it has survived and really has been providing a lot of Mortis Engine utility and anti-large. It's keeping Lewin honest too, because without that thing, Lewin could just swoop down and really bully Festus. But now that this thing is kind of lurking nearby, it's really pretty distracting for sure. Yeah, it looks like this objective might actually flip, but the True Bretonnian's going to be responding very quickly. Knights of the Realm and more Knights of the Realm coming in. Lance is out for the lady, baby, as these mighty barbarians going to get run down by the Chad Knights of Bretonnia, so they do get routed off the point right there. And it looks like overall Bretonnia is going to be stabilizing their point. Very close. Both players almost lost their defensive point on this map, but they both found a way to kind of scrap that one back, which is pretty fun. Overall, I would say Warriors of Chaos have a bit of an advantage despite being behind 700 value. The amount of healing they have on the field, I think they're actually quite a bit ahead. Severed Claw, though, being dragged down finally. Manticore is rampaging. I would imagine the Peasant Archers could have put a lot of firepower into that Manticore. More Foot Squires being called out. Those Foot Squires should be able to finish off the Severed Claw in their current state. And maybe that's going to give Bretonnia a bit of a resurgence on the middle objective. Now, looking at call-ins, we do see Forsaken. Forsaken are a very good mid-game call-in because they're quick and can get to the battle fast. Oftentimes, trying to reinforce with Chaos Warriors is very clunky because of their really slow speed, right? So you can lose some battle momentum if you're trying to call in those type of units. Whereas Forsaken have almost 50 speed, so they're going to be able to get up there pretty quickly. So Festus falling back, using his healing on the Mutilate the Beast, his old elixirs. Manticore probably going to be taken out by Knights of the Realm here. They get a big old charge on him. Those anti-large lances going to add up, and the Severed Claw in the back finally do get taken out. And I don't know what it is, but this patch, I've been seeing the Severed Claw die a lot. I mean, I felt like they were indestructible in the last patch. Granted, Bretonnia has some pretty good tools against them, I suppose, in the Foot Squire. The Foot Squire, that bonus for infantry and AP, exactly what you need. Big blob fight going down here, ladies and gentlemen. This could be a big, decisive one. We do see the Mutilith Beast receiving some heals, but still being focused by what's left of the Archers, who are out of ammo, and I can't help but think Chaos is going to have a pretty substantial advantage here with the Manticores and Armored Trolls and the Mass and the Healing and the Mortis. It's just so much. And Festus can switch on his Mortis at any time, which I believe he did. So there, yeah, you have double Mortis engine going down, which is just absolutely disgusting stuff. 2,700 HP on the Beast on the back objectives. Chaos holding on to their point, and Bretonnia once again is being ninja'd by Hadri's. So Hadri's moves over some Marauder Horsemen. Really, really good domination game sense here, but yeah, the Knights of Bretonnia are going to struggle. Armored Chaos Trolls with 110 armor mitigate a ton of damage from those Knights of the Realm who don't really have the best AP. The one thing that's bad about them, of course, is their leadership. They can get surrounded and break, but it looks like even a couple Chosen of Nurgle with 1,500 value. Pretty awesome fighting. The true Bretonnian does find a really nice pick, though. He is able to get the Mutilith Beast, so finally getting rid of the big centerpiece. Maybe this is going to be allowing Lewin a little bit more time to cause havoc, and that could very much be the case here. As these Armored Chaos Trolls start to fold up, Chosen of Nurgle folding, and Lewin does probably get a big rout here. Yeah, we do see them all kind of on death's bed in that regard. Peasant Archers moving into combat, pure desperation times, out of ammunition, just trying to get bodies into the fray. Adris with a ninja attempt here is going to be shut down by the Mounted Ailmen, so the Ailmen should be able to easily shut down the Marauder Horsemen. Those guys will be running for the hills, and that's really, really important. I mean, if the true Bretonnian wants any chance of winning, he really needs to hold on to that back objective. Adris has really been in the pilot seat for the majority of this game here. And the thing is, a lot of these Trolls are going to be retreating, but they still have 15 of their 16 models, so that means those bad boys are going to be healing up and coming back, and that is so much healing value. Meanwhile, Festus and his Mortis engine and the Forsaken have arrived. Yeah, you can see 78 models right here. We do see the Mutilith Beast is still online. It's going strong, man. It's got 1,200 HP. Its shields regenerating, protecting from some of the Peasant Archer fire. I think Lewin probably goes for the kill here. I don't know. We'll have to see. He moves in once again to attack the Troll Blob. And the Knights of the Realm are coming from across. No, Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis. So these are Knights Errant. They'll still do well in the charge. They have a charge bonus of 77, so they're going to be getting in there and trying to do it for the Lady Lance's couched, but that is not going to be a friendly blob to charge into. That is for sure. Those Armored Chaos Trolls are no joke. Festus is going to move across, and he's got his healing elixirs back on, so he'll be healing up the Horsemen, the Manticore, and the Trolls. Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis and Lewin doing their best. Some Men-at-Arms and Polearms would be very, very welcome for Bretonnia right now to help deal with all these Trolls and monsters that they do have. And the Mutilith Beast has just barely been surviving. 900 HP, it gets in there with its big pimp claws, dragging down several of those Bretonnian Knights. This has been a knockdown, drag-out fight, man. Oh man, absolutely savage stuff. Broken is the Beast though, 700, 600 HP, and it's 500 value, probably around 2,000 at this point. Yep, 1860, so it's a good performance. It still hasn't paid for itself. You know, one of my early predictions was that the Mutilith Beast was going to be super OP, and I was definitely wrong. I mean, it's really, really good, but it's not something that's for example, the Empress's Croman on Cathafer are just way more OP, and Kislev in general has way more broken stuff. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So Chaos Armored Trolls, as well as Forsaken, grinding in the backfield. The back objective is still being pressed by Hadris. His Hounds able to overwhelm the Ailmen, and it looks like the Armored Trolls are going to be arriving. This could be a problem for these Knights Errant that are advancing in. The Armored Trolls with their 110 armor can absorb the charge of the Knights Errant pretty well. They have a little bit of support, especially with Hounds and Horsemen, and yeah, if they all turn around and fight, they could all probably defeat these Knights Errant. It depends. Halberd's moving up to that point as well. Hadri is going to be getting a triple cap, and that's going to be sealing the doom for the true Bretonnian here. It looks like a rout in the front lines as well. More Knights on their way in, but I simply see no way that the true Bretonnian is going to be able to come back. Fresh Halberds have arrived to the point. Hadri's bringing in the finishers, and here the Halberds and Armored Trolls defeat the split push that was coming in from the true Bretonnian there. And GG, well played, man. Warriors of Chaos are a really fun faction to play. I think they're great. And Bretonnia seems very strong this patch too. This was in the semifinals of a tournament, so the true Bretonnian, I believe, had gone undefeated up until this point. Yeah, I think Hadri's had lost the game earlier, but was still able to make top 4 in this tournament. So yeah, Bretonnia is in a great place right now. They're strong. but they don't feel like OP anymore, which is really nice. The Grail Knights being fixed, the cost reductions or cost increases on some of their infantry, it makes their infantry a little bit less dominant, with the Grail Reliques, of course, getting a cost increase as well. So yeah, I think CA did actually do a good job with Bretonnia in this match, but not so much with some other stuff, as we all know. So 1500 here, 1900 on the Beast. Pretty cool mixed lore of magic there. Chosen of Nurgle performing, and the Severed Claw, of course, doing well. It was a cool army, man. Armored Chaos Trolls are, of course, very much a staple there. Horsemen and Throwing Axes are great against Foot Squires and Heavy Cavalry. So, yeah, solid stuff. And for True Bretonian, I feel like the Fey Enchantress would have been a little bit happier there, like the Fey Enchantress double blob. Lewin just felt like he was flying around a lot, and every time he landed, he was kind of getting punished. So I can't help but think like Fey double Paladin would have been nice for the healing and the Chalice of Potions and the Mortis Engine to help deal with some of the halberds. All that stuff could have added up. GG, well played. See you guys next time. These mighty champions will meet again, I'm sure, and we'll see you guys on the other side.